So here we are, after a breathtaking qualifying yesterday, the cars are taking their final positions on the grid today. It's time now for the Singapore Grand Prix. The Marina Bay Street Circuit then has 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, taking us a total of 3.1 miles around the landmarks of downtown Singapore. An average lap speed around here, just 107 miles per hour.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. We are here with Formula 4, and we are on round 8, going round Singapore. But as usual, I am not alone. I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Diggle. How you doing?
Oh, good evening, Bloom. I'm good, thank you. I hope you're well. And well, thank you very much for that very flattering intro. Getting a bit flustered already, and the night's still young. Whew.
Well, I'm trying to work you up so you don't just drop me on and on board with about 5 seconds notice.
I'll give you at least 10 seconds tonight.
Sound. Okay, farewell.
To be fair, though, like Singapore, what a track. And after the pure chaos that ensued last week, we've now got a track with barely any runoffs, solid barriers that are going to catch drivers off, curbs. Let's just have some rain tonight. Let's really spice it up. And as well, I like to keep trying to bring back, I think you're forgetting your catchphrase here, but get some pandemonium tonight.
I do try to abstain from the pandemonium as much as I can. But what I do want to see tonight is the absence of Bert Mylander. I don't want to see him driving a car, if at all possible. But we are in Singapore, like you say, many solid walls, many curbs. Thankfully, we don't have a Singapore sling anymore, so we won't be seeing anyone airborne. But we do have some tight sections, and we will see some fast, respectful racing, and incidents can happen. But the racing gods will hopefully allow us to have a interrupt-free race, if that's an even way of putting it.
I mean, call me a pessimist, but I'm going to be honest, I don't mind the safety cars. One, just because it gives us a second to breathe after the chaos that these guys and the pure entertainment that they constantly bring us throughout a race. It's just a nice breather for us, but I can't imagine the drivers like it too much. So, yeah, like you say, they'll be probably wanting a nice, clean, clear race. No debris, no damage, no chaos, but I just want to see how they're going to handle the track tonight.
Yes, 17 cars on track. 28 points split the top two drivers. Wouter leading the way with 153 points for YouTube, and Pease following behind with 125, 28 points deficit between the two. And then dropping off after that. We don't see many major battles going on in the pots either at the moment. There is only 12 points separating pot 3 drivers, Xerxes and Mikey G. And again, we've got 15 points separating Droftas and DJ for the pot 2 battle.
Well, I mean, you're talking about the standings as well. Let's just kind of jump back to last week as well, where we saw Wouter take the win over Pease. Glock just narrowly holding on to a podium after unfortunately picking up a couple of penalties during the race. Penalties, again, we could see them happen here. There are a few areas where the curbs are flat, as you were just seeing here. Harron's leaving the pits. Curb on pit exit is completely flat, so you can get caught out with the white line quite easily. And also, pit exit, that hits you quite quick. If you don't rotate the car quick enough, you could be picking up some warnings.
Did someone say white lines?
Again, too early in the night, Blue. Come on.
Yes, keeping it PG. PG! But we do see our reserve driver, Harron. That's what I've been calling him, and I hope he doesn't mind it because I don't really know how to pronounce the rest of it. But Harron, yes, doing the first show for us here at Formula 4 Round 8 in Singapore. And this is one of the few night races that we do have on the calendar, and what a spectacular it is to see.
Yeah, and one of the main differences, because of the night race, especially Singapore, it takes a while for your tyres to get up to heat, so the harder compounds are going to struggle, and these guys are probably leaving it a bit later in the session tonight, trying to let some other guys go out there and just kind of scrub up the track a bit more before they go for their quick laps.
Yeah, but I do have to chuck in a few mentions. We've got All Shot Down resubscribing for the 11th month, so let's just replay that up there. Don't know who All Shot Down is, but I'm sure he's a lovely fellow.
He sounds like an absolute gentleman.
Or an absolute. Right. We've also got Callum showing us 25 of his bits in the chat. Thank you very much, Callum, for that. Forever grateful. And we will be seeing you on track, I'm sure, as you are on an outlet. But we've got Harry coming round the final corners now. Are we going for an on-board with yourself this week, Diggle?
I'll try and live up to your on-board last week, Bloom, but as we've just seen Harry around corner 23, a lot of corners here tonight, he's going to try and stick it as far out as possible into the quick 1, 2 and 3. A very quick succession of corners. Again, you want to make sure you set up the car for the exit of turn 3, because as he's done here, he's cut straight back to the left to now open up the long right-hander of 5, which will now bring us onto the first DRS zone. Come the race, this is going to be one of the main overtaking points. The car picking up speed. It's going to be interesting to see the straight line speed on the cars this evening, because they might be set up for all these 90-degree corners that this track has bundled together. Now we are dipping into turn 8, and just shortly up the road now on the left, very Baku-esque, we've got turn 9. That wall is going to greet you very quickly, so he's kept the car nice and clean, just rubbing up against the white line there, up down to where the Singapore sling used to be of 10. He's going to try and hold it right to this little right-hander of 11, and now flicking through 12 under the little light display into the hairpin of 13. Want to make sure he gets the braking correct, and he has done. Runs the car nice and wide to get the traction. Coming the second DRS straight. This was a lot shorter than the first, so overtaking may be a bit tricky here for some of the guys here this evening. Into 14 now, rounding the final sector, coming some of the harder braking zones now, and it's going to be a lot harder to overtake through here, but he's keeping that car, looks like it's running on rails. He's not running too wide, watching that barrier again on the right hand side. He's going to want to hit the brakes at the 50, throw it to the left now again, through under another bridge, through 19, and then we're going to have the right handers of 20 and 21. These curbs do stick up, you don't want the back end snapping on you. Try and throw the car as close as you can to the barrier again, not hitting the wall, through 22 and running round to 23 and down across the line. Harron kicks us off with a 38.5.
Absolutely beautiful on board, and quite important some points that you brought up there about setups, straight line speeds, and that, because you want to be able to defend down the straight line, but then you also going to want to have setup for the 90-degree corners, because your straight line speed, that's going to be where you're most vulnerable to an overtake.
And just after that, I just want to touch on there, DJ straight away in with a 37.6, and Ross on the timing screen with a 39.3. So the boys are getting a feeler in this evening, but yeah, setup is going to be everything here tonight. You don't want to be left high and dry with a high downforce setup, just for everyone to get you with the DRS.
So we've got a couple of the Duracell boys coming round. Glock, who I do believe is on a flyer, who's in front of him. We've got Callum in front of him. Callum showed us our bits in the comments. What can he show us on the timing board? We've got the Duracell car coming around the final corner now on a set of soft tyres, and that is a 1:39.6.
And Glock following through with a 37.1, so straight away after his performance last week, are we seeing some proper, like, it's kind of a step up from Glock over the last couple of races? He's definitely going to want to get his stuck in tonight. Tripping over my words there, I just saw Bannister crossing the line. He did a 140 flat, 0.000.
Yeah, we also had Mikey G following for Baskin Robbins with a 138.9, and Ramsell crossing the line with a 138.9 also, but
Chiropractor
Mikey G.
up into 4th place. Well, clearly Singapore's a track that he likes, so he's had his practice from last week. The car, touch wood, still facing the right way.
Yes, and we've got a new driver in tonight, Tom Taylor. Welcome to the Formula 4 team. He is driving for Sega, filling in a spot for somebody who's left, German. So, yeah, we'll see how Tom Taylor manages the track tonight, but we have seen him on track with a few of the other drivers, so exciting to see what's going to come from him.
And another man who's just crossed the line with a 37.5, Sloth, someone else who the last couple of races kind of got back into how he used to be. It's like he's found a second wind in that sense, putting a stellar drive last week and the week before, and again up there with Glock, only a couple tenths off.
Yeah, driver of the day, one of the weeks recently, so definitely, and like you say, he's been contender for the driver of the day most weeks as well, so yeah, good stuff from him.
just keeping an eye. I think we're going to have Xerxes is going to be our next man across the line. So the third of the three Duracells down across the line with a 38.4, jumping up into P4.
Yeah, fantastic time there. We've got Mikey G coming around. He is coming in because he just did a flying lap. I don't think you get much more than one flying lap out of your battery or these tyres.
I think Pallister's going to be re-going again there, so he's had a nice cool-down lap. He's going to want to rerun, but just watching those cars come into the pits, I mentioned earlier the pit exit can be quite dangerous in regards to limits, but, as I say that, Tom, snap of oversteer, just clip the wall before the final two corners.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Facing straight. And he P2 with a 37.4.
Fantastic show there. I think we've seen Sebastian Vettel in real life clip the wall hard here at Singapore, yet pick up pole. So, yeah, quite crucial to watch these track limits. You don't want to wreck your car like Max Verstappen on the final lap of the Saudi Grand Prix, the qualifying session, sorry. Go on.
I was just energetic to a 38.6 across the line. Just before I got distracted by Tom there, I was just mentioning that pit entry. Bloom, you probably can recall as much as I can. Like, going into that pit can be so punishing. If you don't get the brakes right and you're on worn tyres, you're up over that curb and your car can either end up backwards or you're doing another circuit of this long lap.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think Xerxes might be coming in now, although I do think that's Wuta on a outlap behind him, but we'll see. As Diggle's pointing out, you don't get your braking right, you're over that curve and then you're back on track in a dangerous manner, or you're doing another lap, or even worse, you could be in that pit wall.
Right, I think we're going to have Bannister on his second flying lap, just coming through the final two corners now. Oh, the back end snap, but he caught it. He's kept his foot down, improves with a 39.2, jumps up to P10.
And we've got Troy returning for a Grand Prix. We've seen exciting stuff from Troy before now, so he is in a reserve car today. Let's see what kind of times he can, and as you can see, pushing the track for every single millimetre there, but keeping it within the limits.
Importantly as well, we have two of the guys that were all the talk last week, which was Pease and Glock, and beg your pardon, Glock was one of them, but I mean Pease and Wuta, they are the two that are on the flying laps right now.
Oh, Wuta has invalidated them. Pease just behind Troy. So in fact, I think if we go on board, Pease might even be able to pick up a slight slipstream, but the reserve car of Troy staying out of the way there. But I do think Troy was on a flyer, but obviously, as a reserve driver, I think he felt it was not what? Wrong car. Wrong car. I'm looking at Harrin.
No, to be fair, even if it was Troy on a flyer, we've seen it before. The reserve boys are very respectable when it comes to the full-time drivers at the moment in these seats, and they know if there are people at the front battling for the titles, they do tend to move out of the way more so than not. So it's always nice to see. Of course, they don't have to do that. They are here to race tonight. But Pease, like you say, did get a nice bit of helping hand there, and he's gone purple in the middle sector. That Baskin-Robbins car, may I just say, in the light, looks absolutely stunning.
Yes, yeah, a lot of the cars in Singapore do look absolutely beautiful. It shows the design that these guys have put together, and some of them are absolutely superb, as you say.
And right before Pease comes across the line to show us his first Harrin of the night, just having a quick look at the chat there, Droftas has confirmed we are having a wet race.
We are having a wet race, but who's having a belter of a qualifying session? Troy crossed the line with a 1:36.4. That's phenomenal. Pease only managing P3 for now with a 1:37.2.
That's what I get for looking away from my screen to look at the Twitch chat for 2 seconds, right?
No, yeah, you were right though. As
36 though.
Yeah, but that's like phenomenal. It's like 7/10 quicker than Glock. But this, we can see there's 6 minutes left of the session, and we do see track evolution here, especially when it's dry weather. So we will see some faster times coming in as Glock. Yes, Glock does improve. As I've stumbled on my words, I've just said the time difference, and now there's only 2 tenths between Glock and Troy, but Glock unable to pip Troy for the pole position, potentially.
I mean, The man to watch right now, I'm keeping an eye on Wooter. He's got purple in the middle sector. He has kept it nice and clean so far. Of course, our winner last time out, and well, in their title battle at the moment with Peas, he was going to want to make sure he does get ahead of Peas. But how close is he going to get to Glock and Troy? 2 corners to go. This man is just flying around the track tonight, crossing the line, up in a P3 with a 36.7. So Troy staying in provisional pole after, as you could probably say, our heavy hitters have been out with their first run.
Yes, and Troy just phenomenal. I can't believe that, like you say, these big runners that we're talking about, Glock, Wooter and Peas, and Troy's just up there in front of them all.
Ooh. It's very K-Mag-esque, isn't it? In Brazil, I think it was, wasn't it, when he got pole?
I will agree with you there. I'm sorry, slightly distracted.
No, by all means. It was only last season, but I can't even remember. Just keeping an eye, though. I mean, I'm not saying that that's pole position done and dusted. I can guarantee you Glock, Wooter and Peas are going to definitely want to have another shot at this.
Yeah, but Wooter is invalid. 2 laps on his tyres. He's going to want to come in and have another go. Few minutes left, so we should be able to see that. Glock just coming in now, probably thinking the same. With the announcement from Droftas in the chat, it will be a wet race, so they probably won't need many of these soft tyres, albeit there might not be a fully wet race. We don't know them details exactly.
No, of course, but again, that could be playing into the setup that these guys have gone for this evening. Just trying to catch the next guy around. I believe it's going to be Ross, who's just passed, I believe, Wooter. Halfway through the final sector now, just going under the, I think it is a bridge, or a tunnel or grandstand or whatever it is. And he's taken a massive chunk out the curb there. That is not going to do him well. He's probably going to come straight back in after that.
Yeah, invalidated, so yeah, his lap won't count.
So that does pass us back to Bannister, who is on a 3-minute lap, so never mind. Who passes us back even further to, is that gonna be Ramsell? Couple corners to go on a 5-minute lap. Right, okay, so these boys are really playing with me tonight.
Right, let's try and figure out, like you say, who's on a lap.
Mikey G. No,
Mikey
6.5 minutes. Never mind. I know. Do you know? I was thinking this earlier. I remember the tyre wear always being higher at this track. It can destroy a set of softs. They're not a race tyre. So these outlaps these drivers must be doing, they must be just trundling around. To be fair, saying that, I've just jumped on board with DJ. He's not even hitting 100 mile an hour around the track. He's just pootling around at 60, 70.
Yeah, we got Chewy. I don't think this is a flyer. No, it might be a flyer. Chewy with a previous 141. Oh no, it's coming in. It's coming in.
So I've just cut to him as well. You are for 10th off, and he's in the pit, so clearly he wanted some new rubber. But DJ is going to be starting his flyer, and it's going to be his teammate of Bannister, who will be our next driver. He's just finishing up the middle sector now.
Yeah, only a couple minutes left of the session. Purple sector 2 for Bannister. So that's purple.
Up by nearly 5/10 though on his time, so that is looking strong to get him up to nearly P10.
Oh, and
Glock's retired.
I think he's in the pitch. 1 minute 40 left of the session. Not enough time to get back out. So that is the session done for Glock. Cannot improve on P2, but can anybody get closer to him?
I mean, he's got a 1/10 buffer to Wooter. Don't know how safe he's going to be sat there, but down to the line comes Bannister. And he crosses up into P9, improved by 8/10. What a lap.
Yes, fantastic time there from the Pop 4 man.
We have a Sega.
Yeah, Tom Taylor, it has invalidated, so we won't focus on him. He cannot improve unless he does go again. He does have a full battery and a 6-minute time.
You say that though. Mikey G is just behind him, rounding the final couple corners now. He's down to the line and he's up into P8 with a 37.9.
Yes.
So the track has improved. These times are dropping. Ramsell crossing the line to do his final run. He is going to be starting that run now. Yep. We have Xerxes crossing the line with a 38.4, P9, currently sitting for the Duracell driver. Energetics crossing the line to start his final run. We have the reserve, I believe, is going to be Troy. starting his final run. I think these are all going to be, these times are going to come in quick and fast at the end of this session, Blue, because they're all starting laps as we speak. I was saying that DJ, though, improves. He's just finished a run in amongst all of them, up into P6.
Yes. Pulled over, well out of the way. Wouter to be coming through now, followed by one of his YouTube teammates. Who else have we got?
Aaron down across the line has just started, so we've got the Duracell of Callum. He's going to be starting, so I think it is going to be crunch time for these boys. These times are going to be the ones that count at the end of the session. Well, I think Bannister is done for the session. Looking at the time, I can... Oh, 2.5 minutes. Oh, no, they're in 2.5 minutes. Session has ended.
Yeah.
So...
Tom Taylor has got no front wing, so he won't be improving.
Mikey G will be the first one. No, he's 5 seconds off, so that will not be a solid run for him. So possibly Xerxes will be the first man to take the checkered flag for us now. Again, you can see him attacking those curves, running right up against the yellow barrier. I was going to say, why for some reason was Singapore on. Double left-hander down to the line. Where's the Duracell driver going to go? He stays P9, but he improves by 5/10.
Yeah, only a
Next across the line is
Mikey G.
Energetics up into P6 for the 7-4. Next is going to be Troy. I was going to say Taylor Troy even. Troy down across the line. Does he improve? He does with a 36.2.
If he didn't have the pole in the bag already, he's certainly trying to secure that. He's unable to beat them either, but he does improve.
Oh, Wouter, what a lap! 36.1.
And Droftus following behind with a 1:37.1. Wouter, unbelievable time there. Fantastic show.
Just about to say, these guys, I wanted to see who had an answer for anyone. I don't think Ramsel and DJ are on a valid run. So, but P's improved by 5/10 and stayed P4.
Yeah, Callum improved then as well, getting P13 on the final breath. And Ramsel.
That's insane. The times that those two have put out at the front. Sorry, I'm in awe.
Well, yeah, like you say, we've seen Glock and Pease battling for race wins, and then we've got Troy and Wouter just, as you say, in a league ahead. But this could be track specific, and also let's not forget the fact that we know it's going to be a wet race, so some of these drivers might have a wet setup on, whereas others might be running a dry setup. They might be fast in quali, but when we come to the wet weather of the race, we might be seeing a different kind of format unfold in front of our eyes.
I mean, for their sake, I hope they're right, because I think the gap that the Pulsar had to 5th place draft was, it was a second, or just under, but that's insane.
Yeah, phenomenal times there, as we see Wouter taking pole position for this Singapore qualifying session. Troy, the reserve car driver, coming in 2nd place. Glock in 3rd, Pease 4th, Droftas 5th, Tom Taylor 6th for his debut race at Formula 4, Energetics 7th, DJ 8th, Sloth 9th, Harrin 10th, Mikey G 11th, Xerxes in 12th, Callum in 13th, Bannister 14th, Ross 15th, Ramsel 16th, and rounding the pack off, Chewy in 17th place.
What a qualifying session, and now we're just going to be treated to a lovely wet race. Like you say, it'll rain at some point. Oh, it's going to be a good evening.
Not sure where the rain's going to fall. You did call it before we started that you wanted to see a bit of excitement, a bit of exchange in wet weather, but hopefully we'll see the minimal safety cars here, because we want to see some flat-out racing, and nice to see some people in the comments as well. We've got Jess going, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late."
Well, I mean, Jess, you've joined us at the perfect time, because I think the rain dance he did last week has affected us tonight. Look at that, falling down in the pits.
Wow. You need your Mac on for this race today. That looks quite heavy. I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing the full wets for this race start.
I mean, to the left of your screen, you can see in the pit garage number 8 there are the wet tyres out.
Oh, very astute of you to make that observation.
I'm just guessing that the game would just load the tyres that are probably going to be used.
No, yes, yeah. I think you're right. I mean,
it does look like it's falling heavy, and I think the guys at the front are going to be very happy to see that they're not going to have the spray. Going down to turn 1's going to be dangerous.
Well, I've got to say, one of my all-time favourite races in Formula One, or the most excitement I think I've ever had watching a race, was the wet start of the Singapore Grand Prix. I couldn't tell you what year, but it was about 3-4 years ago, because it was Sebastian Vettel driving for Ferrari, Kimi, Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen, when Max was caught between the two Ferrari cars, and there was just absolute pandemonium. There was no wet weather falling, but the track was already wet, as we can see. Troy just completely losing it there. But this is where we will see if people have got the dry setup for the fast qualifying time, or whether they have the wet setup, thinking about the race, thinking forwards, thinking about where they're going to want to be come lap 2.
Again, we've seen it for, I think it's the last 3 or 4 races. The pole sitter has not led into turn 1.
No,
and now it's going to be a wet start.
We do see a right mix-up at the front. Wouter, he's starting pole position, but Pease and Glock, they normally like to try and make moves early on, as does Wouter, but Wouter can't make any moves because he will be the leader of the pack for now.
Pit strategy come up on my screen here as well, and I think it is going to be wet from start to finish, because the pit strategy was recommending pitting for a new set of wets around 18 to 20.
Let's just try. I'm riding on board with Troy now. We can just see the spray from these cars. It's just going to make the race all the more difficult, and you see the drama that he's having just trying to drive in a straight line.
I mean, you compare that to the footage of someone like Callum down in 13th on Xerxes. There's a nice train of cars all compact together, but they're going that slow. It's not too much of a hindrance, but you take the spray you've just had on your screen there and put it on the back of these 4 or 5 cars. Anyone at the back of this train is going to be driving blind.
Yeah, nice to see Pillars in the comments. Shalom. It's one of my new favourite buzzwords. I don't think we're going to be getting much of that this evening. No, the heavens have opened.
Wouter, I think, testing the limits a little bit there as he had a kick at the back end.
Yeah, Bannister round down just after the Anderson Bridge. Having trouble at the hairpin for 13.
Is that what it's called, is it? I didn't know that. There you go, see? It's your track knowledge again, Bloom, coming in.
Just my cheat sheet I've got down. I can't take any credit for that. But let's see, of course, we've got the immersive and Pease.
I was going to say.
Pease doing some drifting, handbrake, turning into his grid spot.
I was just about to say, it'll be interesting with the immersive setting how many of these drivers do get it right and who gets reset. I can see a couple of the drivers are actually reset further back off their grid slot.
And do you know what I might try to do? I shouldn't bounce it really, but I'm going to try and get an instant replay. Of this race start.
Look at Troy, the angle on that car. He's come into the pit box and stopped dead on his mark, but that is a very aggressive angle.
It is, and we've got 4 lights, 5 lights. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, and look at the absolute dead start from these cars. The traction is just not there. Glock and Pease swapping position further back.
He's having a look. There's contact with Pease and Troy. Sorry to jump in there, but they've just stepped going the right way.
Oh, and there's contact. There is contact, but everybody's still facing the right way that I can see.
Troy got very lucky there. He had Glock on his outside, Pease on the inside. Pease had a look. It was front right to rear left. What this has done is let Wouter break away to a second already, but how could we forget? It is Glock in the wet, so I can imagine this man is going to be on fire tonight.
Yeah. Glock traditionally is rapid in the wet, but this is a different game. Let's see if he can still keep that rain dance going. And Glock...
He's talking about rain dances. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Pease struggling behind him. You can see the traction not there as the back end kicks out, coming round turn 5.
Just having a quick jump to near the back end there with Xerxes and Callum. The drivers are just struggling to find the breaking point there as Energetics went wide. Xerxes tried making the move. Xerxes went deep. Like, these guys are pushing their limit lap upon lap now.
Yeah, and you're just you kind of get a bit stuck in a train sometimes when the weather's like this, because you can't deviate too far from the racing lines. That's where the traction is. That's the quickest way around this course. But to go offline to find a new creative interpretation of the track to try and gain places can be a very dangerous thing.
And just to add to the excitement as well tonight, Wouter, as I said earlier, broke to over a second, and Troy, being hounded by the likes of Glock and Pease, it's kind of swung back. So Troy is showing, I know it's only been one lap, or not even one racing lap yet, but in one lap, Troy is pulled away from Glock, and he's already on the back hunting down Wouter.
Yeah, we want to see Wouter being shown a challenge, and I think we will see that challenge in the shape of Troy today. But we did see him having trouble with traction on the formation lap.
Oh, we've got someone around. Sorry, on the start-finish straight. It is a Sega of Sloth.
It is missing a... Oh, no, he does have a front wing. So let's see him get back on track.
I said, like you say, those curbs, especially in the wet as well, on the outside of that final corner, it's like a swimming pool. As soon as you get two tyres on there, you can just lose all grip.
As you say, Troy not letting Wouter get away, but Glock can't say the same for him and Troy, with a 1.5 second deficit between the two.
And if you just jump in as well to Tom, again, he's all over the back of this battle with Pease and Glock. He's not letting them get away as well, so this is a strong start for the Sega man.
Yeah, debut for Tom Taylor.
And he looks at one with his car so far as well, so maybe the track or the weather, but something seems right for him this evening.
Yeah, there's a bit of a gap now.
Oh, he's gone for the move on Pease! That is Daniel Ricciardo-esque. Luckily, both cars facing the right way out the end of it, but he managed to catch it, but he clearly wants to get past Pease.
Well, maybe we're not seeing Tom Taylor's full potential, because, like you say, if he's trying to get his way around Pease because he's holding him up, because he's got more pace than we need to see.
And who's, again, the man we keep seeing at the back of these little fights week after week, Draftass, is just sitting pretty there in 6th, and I think he'll be ready to capitalise on any mistakes that happen up ahead. Just going to have a quick look at the Twitch chat as well. Well, Jess, how many safety cars are there going to be today? Well, Bloom was in the seat of hopefully none. I personally wouldn't mind seeing a couple. Maybe not 4, because we've had 4 too many times now.
Yeah, we don't want to see 4. Nice to see your comments in the chat. Keep them coming.
Hound us, berate us, give us something to work with. By all means, pick us apart if you need to. We're here for your entertainment.
Well, Tom Taylor, I think, is feeling a bit wounded after that attempt on Pease, because he's dropped back to a second back from Pease now, but he's got Draftass for company behind. And we have a yellow flag. That looks like Sloth again, now without a wing. Hopefully, he's too far forward. He's got to go do a full lap now in the wet with no wing.
Oh, that's going to damage it. That's going to really hurt his race this evening now.
But we do have a full course caution in the way of a virtual safety car.
So now that means Sloth has to drive slower to a delta with now from me.
Yes, but sometimes when you're in these positions, it's like, okay, I'm struggling to drive at the slower speed because of the condition of my car and the track.
I can't imagine that car's going to be handling and feeling more like a boat than anything now.
But we don't see many position changes at all, and let's see if we can get the replay of that race start again on the stream. As you can see, all the cars was bogged down. Nobody really getting a massively good getaway. We can see Glock on the outside of the right there. He does try to make some moves, but they do all return to their original positions before the pandemonium all settled. Yeah, we've not seen any let up of the weather as of yet, and we now have a green track that can all get going once again. We do see.
He's been right on it. Here is Troy as the track goes green. The man driving, I'd say, the green car, is trying to go for it, but he had a bit of a kick of rear end there as they got going again.
I think I've seen Glock clip that wall twice now. on that
Oh, and back end of Glock as well.
He is.
Don't know if you caught that there.
I did. I was looking at him, and he just doesn't seem to be having the same luck in the rain as he usually does.
Well, just having a quick look at the race director, something I've not done before mid-race, but we have a couple warnings for some of these drivers on track limits already. For Harren, Ramsel, Chewy, Sloth, and Xerxes.
Ooh, spicy.
It's one apiece for those boys, so they're going to have to keep it a lot neater.
And we have lost Sloth. He's moving, so
in the pits.
Pit and quit. He's obviously not been having much fun at all. Maybe that was a dry setup in the wet conditions and it just wasn't suiting, but thankfully that's not caused a dreaded safety car.
But it looks like, to be fair, the track doesn't seem like it's letting up at all. Riding on board with these guys, the puddles everywhere. So each lap they're going to have to be 100% focused, but we've got a bit of a gap forming now between Droftas and DJ, up to nearly 5.5 seconds. So the front six are just starting to kind of break away from the rest of the pack.
I think Tom is set up for Sector 2 because he was, again, right close to Pease, coming round turn 13. He wants to get that position from the Baskin Robbins. But then we did see a gap develop as well, so I don't know if it's Pease has got the straight line speed and Tom has got the high downforce for the corners.
I mean, it's that, or it could just be if people haven't done much of wet practice this week before tonight's race, it could just be them trying to find the limit and push the car, try and eke it out as much as they can. Again, they're running with full fuel loads, which they wouldn't have been able to do in quali. A completely different weather condition. This fastest lap is dropping by the lap itself. I'm going to be intrigued to know when they start to call the pit strategies in. As far as I'm aware, one stop might be viable, but not fast at all.
I don't know. I
think Singapore's very harsh on the tyres. If it's anything by the dries, the mediums and the hards tend to be so far off the pace, but they do still tend to wear out quite quick.
Well, having a look now, the straight line speed of Pease is probably matching that of Tom. Tom wasn't really able to gain much there. Tom would have had the slipstream, and Pease no slipstream. So yeah, maybe Pease's straight line speed is maybe better than Tom's.
I mean, and again, like Droftas is just sitting nice and calm behind them. They're not getting too close, but the double helping of, like you say, the slipstream is definitely going to be helping down those straights.
Well, I think you mentioned it earlier. Sometimes you just got to get yourself in position and just play the waiting game. Wait for conditions like this, as Tom was very loose on the back end, and then Droftas also struggling with the traction there. So yes, you just have to wait and basically survive the longest without incident in these conditions sometimes. But Troy definitely trying to push Wouter into an incident with putting the pressure on as much as he can. 4 tenths maximum separating these two at the moment.
And just keep an eye a bit further down the pack as well. This battle between Ross and Callum, riding on board with Callum, Ross even, and Callum keeps going deep and saying going deep. Xerxes is to the runoff area, does a very suave little 180, and he's back on the track. Looked like he'd practiced that. That was very clean. Did a quick 180 and away he went again. So he lost a little bit of time, but not too much.
Right, just trying to make his way through.
This would be the time that he'd be hoping for DRS, I think, because it's not going to be easy to pass in the wet, especially without that helping. It's all going to be down to battery deployment, and, well, saying that, Wouter sat with a full battery. And he's using all of that to pretty much defend. But Troy is gaining, though, with the slipstream. He's going to be close enough to have a look. He has a look, but decides to think twice about it.
Well, again, Troy definitely has the pace, so he can stay comfortably behind Wouter, just waiting for that mistake.
What's happening, though, is Glock is not too far off them now. He's sitting there, as I say that, again, the back end kicking out on Glock. But, yeah, Troy's all over him.
Dropping down to Roy. Roy still trying to take that position from Callum. Callum over the curb, losing a little bit of traction, but positions the car so that Ross cannot get through.
I definitely agree with what you were saying in regards to Troy. It looks like his car is definitely set up for that middle sector, because he was looking every which way to try and get alongside Wouter there, and he just couldn't find a way. And he's late on the brakes. It's close, but
no cigar.
It's a good job he can stop that car. Yeah. Otherwise, that'd be 2 cars off.
Well, that's it. I mean, the racing respect in this league is absolutely phenomenal, because an incident wouldn't only ruin your race, but potentially others around you as well. And it's also a team game. Obviously, Troy not in a team, but as a reserve car, but Wouter for YouTube, wanting to stay up there to score all the points for his YouTube teammates.
And funny enough, you say that, I actually know the points facts for this one. I've done a bit of research this time. But YouTube themselves sitting on 328 points, Repsol sitting on 346, so an 18-point gap difference for the leader of the constructors.
Yes, and points here today can make all the difference. Nobody played their double points card, but nobody would have been able to predict having a wet weather Singapore. But let's see now, Troy only 3/10 behind Wouter, dropped back a little bit as Wouter had a better exit at turn 5. And that,
I mean, if it stands... Oh, sorry.
That exit meant all the difference between Troy having a go there or not, and it just completely nullified the attack from Troy completely. Shall I say completely again?
Well,
completely.
All I was just going to say is that if it stands as it is, we've got 4 YouTube drivers here this evening and only 2 Repsols. So YouTube looking very strong to jump to the lead of the constructors after tonight's race.
And Roy must be Ross must be feeling the frustration being stuck behind Callum still. I don't know
I was going to point out
Roy is.
You said it earlier, but I didn't want to jump on it. I didn't think you noticed. So.
What did I say, Roy? Earlier?
Yeah,
I've been drinking tonight, I think.
Make mine a double. But yeah, Roy and Callum, their battle's going well for P11. I can't imagine he's going to want to sit behind Callum too much longer, because he keeps seeing the gap open when Callum goes a little bit deep or runs a little bit wide, but he just can't get close enough to put his car alongside.
No, I have jumped further ahead. Mind you, I might jump further back, because we can see Xerxes looking quite aggressive on Bannister, but not able to make a move too far back. Wanting to reclaim some of them places from his little 180 turnaround.
Yeah, but to be fair, like I say, he had that spin and he only lost a couple of seconds at a couple of positions. So
sorry, going to jump in.
As...
Tom looking to make a move down on the inside of turn 1 on Pease, but not able to make that move. He did look very strong though, and I think a little bit more aggression, and that move could have been on.
You might be thinking twice though, because there was earlier contact between those two down at the hairpin. So you might want to make sure the next move he does is a lot more guaranteed. As I say that though, he's all over the back of Pease. He looks left, he looks right, and he just sits in behind again. He's getting a great view of that Baskin-Robbins back of the Baskin-Robbins car, sorry, through the spray, if you can see it, that is.
Yeah, well, it's nerve-wracking sometimes on your debut race for a league you've not raced in before. I don't think league racing is something unfamiliar to Tom, but definitely I think we can see a lot of potential here, because there are moments where he's all over Pease wanting to take that position. But like you say, maybe just a little bit of confidence lacking from that early contact between him and the Baskin-Robbins driver.
Yeah, and patience is going to be key here tonight. He's just through that middle sector as well, that latter half even. Got his foot down a bit too quick there and spun the rear end up a bit, and he lost a tiny bit to Pease. So if he's going to want to pass him, Pease is definitely not going to make it easy.
No, but Tom's going to have to do something soon, because Draftas, as you say, just sitting patiently behind this pack. Any mistake made from these, any more contact, and Draftas will be there to pick up the debris, but hopefully not literally.
And further back as well, you touched on the battle earlier, but Xerxes has passed Bannister, and his next target is going to be the chiropractor, the returning Ramsel for P13.
I can't take my eyes off Tom right now because he's within a second only separating these 3 cars. But the track...
Again, he got a wobble coming out that final corner again, and it upsettled the car.
I think I'm beginning to notice that the traction out of turn 5 is critical to getting these moves done, and we've seen it the last couple of times. Pease having the better traction, Tom going in heavier than Pease does, but Pease definitely has the better exit there.
We've had a few more warnings come up as well on the track limits in regards to Ross Energetics, Callum and Mikey G. So again, the weather catching these guys out. Even Ernie's he's had half a look there up the inside of Pease again. Luckily, just getting his car stopped in time.
Yeah, I wonder if that was an intentional moment or a brown trouser moment, because it definitely... I was trying to reach for my brake pedal as I could see that closing. But let's not take away also Troy, still on the back of Wouter, but the battle in here now has allowed Glock to be getting in that 1 second gap.
I think, though, looking at the battery deployment compared to what it was before, Troy has refilled his back up to full, basically. So he's probably taken a lap or 2 just to recharge before he has another stab at Wouter, which ultimately, those 2 drivers not deploying much has allowed Glock to kind of get himself back into this.
That sounded strangely aggressive. Before he has another stab at Wouter.
Another go, another punt, anything like that.
Oh, and Troy rode the curb quite a bit there, lost the back end slightly, now down to 9/10, which is not what you want to do as you're approaching one of the few opportunities that you will have to overtake.
And you say that, he got another wobble coming out this back end of that chicane, so he's probably unnerved him a little bit there. Like as you like to say, a bit of a brown trousers moment.
Yes. Double wobble. Wibble wobble.
Weeble wobble, isn't it?
I don't know, I'm just jibber jabbering. But that has neutralised that attack. Troy having to recalibrate now. He's using his ERS to try and catch back up, but Wouter did use some of his ERS to try and make sure that he could get away whilst he can.
We've had a bit of a unique line through turn 1, 2 and 3 there from Mikey G. He ran deep into one and went straight across that island of AstroTurf. But he's still facing the right way, no real upset. He just lost a bit of time to the guys in front.
Well, Tom has also dropped back, albeit Troy has closed that gap again. But maybe we're seeing a bit of development here, either in the track or the tyres. Because 10 laps in, if they're going to do a one-stop, that would be around lap 15, 16 for fresh tyres. So maybe we're seeing a bit of degradation.
Degradation, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, the way that some of these guys are sliding around, the tyres aren't going to be liking that. And if the traction isn't great, wheels spinning up corner after corner is just going to burn them out quicker.
But this is kind of, I know you wanted to see rain, I know you wanted to see a bit of a change and exciting race, but this has changed it. And Pease made contact with the wall coming under the stadium section in the final sector, hit it hard. He does still have his right end plate, but there's definitely going to be damage on that front wing, because that was a hard hit.
And you were saying about the race being entertaining?
Well, it read my mind. Commentator's curse. We say these things and then the opposite happens. So I hope Diggle doesn't send me money. Oh no, what's this? An email from PayPal? No, it's a notification from Race Control that Chewy has picked up the first 3-second penalty, unfortunately.
I wasn't expecting that segue. And there you go, that's another transaction for you. Rams are picking up a 3 penalty as well.
But Troy, very, very close.
Look. He's really trying here to get round Wouter. Just to jump back a little bit, sorry, Xerxes made a move on Ramsell, so Xerxes back up to P13. Only 2 positions to gain, and he'll be back to where he was before his little bit of a whoopsie earlier.
So trying to watch these people who are ever so close but not able to make the move. We're missing the moves that are being made by Xerxes further down, I should say.
It is so close at the front now. Any slip up can be, well, detrimental to the rest of this evening. But again, you mentioned the pits earlier. The pit strategy is going to be like a 50-50 split. I can imagine a lot of these guys are going to be pitting around 15, 16. Too much of an aggressive undercut here isn't really going to benefit many people. As you can see, traffic is just halting some of the progression for these faster drivers.
Well, I can't help but notice now the deficit between Pease and Glock up to 5 seconds. Now I'm trying to figure out if that's just been a slow increase in time as the race has gone on 5 tenths per lap, or whether that is a result of that collision with the wall, because Tom still all over the back of Pease as he has been for most of the laps of this race.
Also, it may not even just be that. It's just when you know when there's someone hounding the back of you just to try and get past, you do lose a bit of your focus on looking forward. So Pease may be looking backwards too much to actually focus on keep getting his head down and get back in his rhythm.
Yeah, not able
and someone who is looking forward, Troy, all over the back of Wouter once again. This time though, Wouter's clearly gone for another a go or a punt at Wouter because he's deployed half of his battery, so I'll refrain from using that aggressive word. As they come onto the main long straight where the DRS would normally be active, but Troy's just not close enough.
Yeah, unfortunately, no stabby this time, but we do see some movement further down. Bannister able to get past Ramsell, so it wasn't on the battle. Was that a mistake from Ramsell, or did Bannister take that
may
position?
have been, because there was a few seconds between Ramsell and Bannister when I last looked when Xerxes passed, but and I say few, I mean it may have just been under 2, but Ramsell may have run a little bit wide there.
I think he did, because that's not a place you typically see an overtake, or if it is, it would be from an astoundingly faster car, which between these two, it's quite a balanced fight. So, yeah, I think Fishhead did lose out on a couple of positions there through a little bit of a mistake.
The one gap I want to point on as well was we're 12 laps in, the gap that's kind of split the field. It dropped us and DJ 15.5 seconds. If it keeps going like this, anyone in the top 6 is going to get a free stop. To be fair, I'm pretty sure the likes of Wouter and Troy may already have one and come out in that clear air.
Yeah, DJ, we did see him pot 1 last season, the main title protagonist for Pease. Definitely not liking this season as much, because, as we say, dropped down to pot 2 with some of these faster guys coming in. Ooh, just as I flicked back up to drop us, going sideways around the 3rd sector there. But yeah, DJ suffering a little bit this season.
Yeah, I don't know if he took any changes on the assists. We did see a lot of drivers do that. So I don't know if it's something that he's still working with, or the weather itself is just taking a bit of a hindrance. Not every driver enjoys driving in the wet weather. I'm definitely probably one of the biggest advocates for that.
But we did see Ross then collecting the wall, and yeah, but he's all over the back of Callum still, or my mate Roy, as I've called him a few times already, apparently.
It's a shame he doesn't drive for Rapsel.
Roy in Wapsel is a wound.
Oh, to be fair, you're saying that Wouter was nearly a wound there. The back end of the car really stepped out on him. Troy still sticking with him, but again, it's the middle sector where Troy just seems to have the edge over Wouter. It definitely seems like it's a car setup. But we have yellows out in 1. Who is that?
That is Ramsell.
And he's missing an end plate. That is not what the chiropractor would be looking for.
Is, but with a goldfish for a helmet in this weather, we would have hoped him to be swimming through the ranks up to the high positions, but unfortunately he's had an incident. But we did see a little incident earlier as well, didn't we? So
maybe it'll be like Nemo. It's his lucky win.
Well, he's got a dodgy fin, so I can say that much.
That's what I mean. Harron is giving a good go at DJ now for that P7. That's a gap that's just very slightly closed down now.
Yeah, good to see Harron in the reserve seat. We've seen him a couple of times at Formula 4.
for some of these drivers, it's looking like a bit of a quiet evening. Mikey G kind of in the middle of nowhere there. Same with Energetics as well. Kind of enjoying their own company.
Troy looking to gain on Wouter. He did ride the curb a little bit there, and I think it slid ever so slightly. It was just dropped in 2 tenths back, which might be all Wouter needs to keep that position.
Either those top 2 have picked up the pace again, or Glock has had a moment, because he's dropped down now to nearly 2 seconds off of Troy. Must be so infuriating for that Duracell driver to be so close to the front 2, but just not be able to get there.
Well,
and it looks like he's covered off Pease and Tom by the looks of it.
And Ross is in the pits. We did see him collide with the wall, but we are around lap 14, 15, so this would be around the time when you're going to be wanting to change your tyres if you're doing the 1-stop.
I mean, I was just about to say he's going to come out in some clear air, but interesting to see where Ramsell I believe Ramsell will be in the pits, and he has. He's just come into the background of the screen. His teammate Chewy is coming down into 1 now, so well, I can't imagine that Chewy will look to hold up at all. But we got who's that? Xerxes. Xerxes is in the wall. He's gone round, and was that someone waiting? Bannister? No.
No, nobody waiting.
I think he's had a spin of his own accord.
Yeah,
I think it was the corner exit that made it look like the cars were going quite slow, but yeah, as you say, Bannister definitely wasn't waiting around for him.
Yeah, again, this wet weather, could it be he's running a dry setup? Some people don't even practice in the wet, to be fair. So, yeah, we did see him go off earlier as well, so really unfortunate for the Duracell driver there.
Back at the front, are we going to see either of these front 2 make the first call? No, they both stay out for another lap. Again, Glock decides to stay out. We got Pease and Tom again, and Tom's in. So Tom's going to be the first one out of the top 6 here to pull the trigger and get onto a fresh set of rubber.
Yeah. The problem is when you pull in the trigger early and you start to see a lot of pits going on, this is when the track can be vulnerable to a safety car. So if you've already pitted, you lose that cheap pit stop that everybody else will be getting. But equally, you could have no safety car, get the undercut, and get out.
And, well, DJ's in as well, so Harron has been released, which is going to not be what Tom would have wanted, because he's going to have Harron just up the road from him. But the way it's been going, if Tom can settle into a rhythm, it's going to give him that undercut to get those tyres up to temperature, and he's going to definitely feel the grip.
Well, we have seen him all over the back of Pease most of this race, so that is going to be the critical one to watch for as to whether Tom can get in front of Pease using this undercut from the pit stops.
And of course, with a gap of 5 seconds as well, separating that battle to the front 3, I don't imagine they'll be reacting to Tom anytime soon, but Glock could quite easily set off the top 2 if he wants to pull the trigger early.
Well, that's it. When you're the race leader, as Lewis Hamilton from Abu Dhabi knows all too well, that everybody else has got the opportunity to react to what you do, but you at the front have nobody else to help make your decisions for you.
You're definitely going to be triggering people bringing that race back up, Bloom, aren't you?
Hashtag triggered.
Right, and Troy and Woot are coming round the final corners, so it is going to be who pulls it first. I think Troy could look very strong for an undercut, but it's down to if he wants to, if he can keep his car out the wall, that is as well. But Glock, as I say that, give me the winning lottery numbers now. Glock is in.
Now where's Glock? There is a nice bit of free air behind him. Is he going to come out in front of Harron? Harron was behind him.
Droftas is in as well. So I can imagine they're both going to be in and out into some clear air. And sorry to say, Tom is already catching Harron hand over fist this lap. So the fresh wets are paying dividends here.
Yes, and we're going to want to see where Pease is in relation to Tom, because that was one of the main battles we was watching early. But is Tom going to be able to jump Droftas? Was behind him earlier, and he is again.
I was going to say the main one was Glock I was looking at, because bear in mind that was a 5-second gap. It is down to 3 seconds. That is the difference 1 lap on the fresh wets has made to Glock, and that gap with Harron.
Well,
Was
Tom,
it? Sorry, beg your pardon, Tom. Tom, wrong car. Beg your pardon. Oh, they're in the same location.
They are. Tom going to want to try and get this move done. This is going to be one. Oh, he backed out. He backed out. That could be critical. He needs to get past Harrin to go at full pace to make a difference to Pease.
I was going to say, to just show the difference there that you can gain in one lap, to be hindered by a car yet to pit. This is vital to him passing Pease and getting that clean air. He's having a look, but again, he's thinking twice. He's being he's being careful, which is good to see, but he needs to make that move.
Yeah, because like you said, there was a 3-second gap between Harrin and Glock earlier, but that's now 4.5 seconds. So all what he gained from that undercut has just been completely spent.
He's got the traction. Look at the grip on those fresh wets, and he's just blitzed past Harrin. Harrin not putting up much of a fight. He's probably realised that's not his fight this evening. But up at the front, who have we got in? We have Wouter first in out of the leading two. Is Pease going to come in and cover off? Pease is in as well. So Tom getting caught behind Harrin may have cost him more than he thought.
Going to cost him massive. Because like you say, now it's back to 5 seconds between him and Glock. Everything that he gained has been completely nullified.
It'd be interesting to see what the difference will be between Troy and Wouter, because I can imagine Troy will be back in. But Glock coming down to 1, and he has, well, Wouter's out, and nice gap. There was about it was about a 2-second gap, I think it was, or something like that, but it's kind of stabilised there as well. Pease is coming out the pits, and Tom has jumped him.
Miles.
And Droftas as well. Droftas has jumped Pease.
That undercut is strong, even with that massive loss.
Yeah, those warm wets are really not helping. So what could have been for Tom if he'd cleared Harrin a bit sooner? He may have been a bit closer to have a look at Glock, but up in the P4 he's got that clear air, so he can show us what pace he has now.
Yeah.
That gap at the front as well, 25.5 seconds. I'm just keeping an eye to see if that drops by much, because I can imagine it's going to be close when it comes to Troy if he decides to pit this lap.
Cheery and Bannister pitting now also.
Because, well, I believe the wets are a lot like the hards on this game, where it takes a lap to warm them up and then you start going, so that's probably why the delta wasn't dropping too much. But there you go, 2 tenths taken from Troy already in a couple of corners, so Wouter getting those wets up to temperature now.
But 2 tenths ain't a lot. And we've seen that Troy, we haven't seen Troy's full speed because he's always been behind Wouter.
Well, he's in, so it'll be interesting to see, has he done enough to jump Wouter on this one extra lap? He has completely depleted his battery on that lap, so he's definitely pushed.
I wonder if this will be enough. I do think this is going to be hella close.
Well, he's into his pit box now. The tyres have been changed and he's been released. He's away. We've got Wouter. Where is he about now? He's round in the final corner?
Yep. And in all this excitement...
Troy's on exit. Sorry,
all this
Troy's
excitement...
exit. Yep.
Jess is tied in her room, so obviously priorities there, as we see.
Sorry, he's done it. Troy is out in front. I was going to say he's going to get him. And Troy's done it by 3 tenths. Sorry, Jess. I'm so sorry.
Can he hold it? Wouter touching the back of Troy's reserve car there, but Troy with a slightly better getaway. The contact would not help Wouter. Wouter deploying in his battery to try and make a difference, but I don't think he can. He's having a look around the outside. He's unable to make a move, but he is a credit card away.
He's
and now
go alongside. He's alongside around the outside, but Troy is holding him off. Oh, and he has to look up the inside. There's nearly some contact there, but Troy has got barely any battery. Wouter is in the strong position now with over 70% to deploy. I'm sorry to jump in there. Whew.
No, I just really wanted to point out the fact that we've got this final bit of excitement and everybody else is just too busy doing other things.
I mean, I was going to point out the comment earlier and say, don't worry, Jess, you haven't missed much. But then as soon as I was going to look to say it, everything just kicked off.
So we only now need to see Energetics have a pit stop, but we did see pits happening between Troy and Wouter, and that has changed the order in this race.
what has changed as well is Glock down to 1.2 seconds off the back of these front twos. So them battling has really helped out Glock massively.
Yeah, well, look at the difference now. We're seeing a credit card between them now, but there's 8/10 between Troy and Wouter. 9/10 now. Is this going to be Troy's race to lose? Is he now going to be romping away for it? 1 second now. He's gained a 10th per corner there.
It's the heat up. It's getting those tyres up to temperature. When he came out the pits, he would have been struggling for traction. It was about the same time as when Wouter started picking up the pace, and now Troy is. Those tyres are going to feel great.
I'm going to drop down to DJ because DJ now, rather than being the cork in the bottle, he's behind the cork in the bottle in the shape of energetics on some old tyres.
And just to kind of touch on as well, we wanted to see the pace of Tom in some clear air. He's taken 8/10, nearly a second soon, out of Glock. Bear in mind that gap was up to 5 seconds. So Tom as well showing us what he's got left, and Pease is kind of stalemated there now in P6. And Droftas as well, about 2.7 seconds respectively off the drivers around them.
Yeah, the only close battle on track now is Harin and DJ. And Harin with no battery whatsoever, and DJ with a full remit of battery to deploy. So Harin probably not able to make the move on this occasion.
It definitely has quietened down just like that. The gap at the front up to 1.8 seconds. Troy is in his element now. That car, whatever he's got it set up to on those fresh wets, just looks untouchable.
Well, it's unbelievable to say, but Wouter was holding him up.
That's I can't believe you said those words. But what have you uttered?
Well, it's also like Peas in 6th. They're just things that I never imagined that I would say. They're just coming out of my mouth. I don't believe it.
I think there's something with Peas' car, because I don't know if it's something damage to the car itself or what, but he's had a couple moments and something doesn't look right with the way that he's driving around now.
Well, we did see him make contact with
damage.
the wall. We did see him make contact with the wall, definitely.
It could be. Is it sideboard damage? I think on this, like to the side of the car with the carbon fiber. I can't remember.
Point.
Yeah, if he's carrying anything like that, that could explain this, because he's dropped 2 seconds to Droftas in a lap. Which, no disrespect to Droftas, he's got a lot of pace on him, but this is Peas.
Well, yeah, but it could also just be orange front wing damage, where he's got his end plate and it's affecting his performance. But is it enough to warrant an additional 8 seconds in the pits?
I mean, at the moment, it definitely wouldn't have been. Sorry, it definitely would have been, even, if he's going to keep losing time like this. But just behind them as well, Harin. So the gap to 24 seconds now between 6th and 7th.
And again, no letting up of the rain. In fact, it looks worse now than a few laps ago. So it's going to be a full wet race.
Wet race.
I was waiting. It's all the W's. I can't get them white.
Yeah, whatever you're drinking, I'll have one.
I know, it's just, I'm coming out with all this slur, like Wouter's holding someone up. It's just, I'm drunk, must be.
To be fair, one drive being held up, it seems like at the moment, like you say, is Harin. He's really pushing, and again, he just can't seem to find the opening on DJ for that 7th place.
But Xerxes not having a fantastic race. We've seen him reclaim a few positions, but unfortunately picking up a penalty there as well. So we can see a few of them coming in now and showing, as Digger was pointing out, a few drivers with warnings and track limits, albeit just inside of a wall, still need to be adhered to.
To be fair, to touch back on something you mentioned earlier on as well, you said there wasn't too many pot battles going on. If it was to finish as it stands now, pot 2 is going to really heat up at the top end there with DJ, Droftas and Glock, currently 1, 2 and 3 in pot 2. You look at where they are, all separated by a driver. It's going to bring them a lot closer together. What's that? DJ leading the way with 117 to Droftas 102. Glock is sound 77, so a little bit off. But a performance like this is definitely going to pull himself back into the fight.
Well, we also want to watch Bannister and Callum, because although I didn't mention it in the pot battles, pot 4 is actually one of the closer ones. So there is only 11 points between Bannister and Callum is currently 2 positions in front of Bannister. Now, let's not also forget that fastest lap and highest pole per pot gets additional points this season.
I mean, saying that as well, pot 3 is only 12 points between him, and Mikey G is currently sat in P9, and the pot leader, Xerxes, down in 14th.
Yes, so that will get spicy. Oh no, and I just flicked onto Xerxes at the wrong time, catching him going sideways across the start line. But again,
is that bit of end plate that's in the wall there?
It is.
By the looks of it, a bit of carbon fibre.
But let's not also forget Xerxes is one of the drivers that took on the extra no assists. So he's doing this completely freehand with the traction, with the gears, with no line. So yeah, all due respect to him doing this in the full wet with no assists, and that's something that I could never do.
So that just sounds like my idea of hell, but okay. In the wet, I'd give it a good go in the dry, but not in these conditions.
I was going to say, a wet Singapore is hell to most people, let alone without the assists.
I mean, the fact we've only unfortunately lost one driver, which was to a pit and quit by the looks of it. These guys have done very well to keep it clean, keep all 4 wheels on their cars.
Yeah, I'm riding on board with the reserve driver of Harry, but I've got to mention now, although I'm not on board watching it, Troy is just about to break into 4 seconds ahead of Wouter. That really slow snail that's been holding Troy up, and he's been released now to be nearly 4 seconds in front.
I mean, you said about the track limits as well. You see all the penalties coming on. We have warnings across the board for drivers, unfortunately. Glock's unfortunately picked up one himself. Tom, Chewy, Ramsel, I believe Ramsel's got a penalty. Oh, yeah, but he's picked up another warning since. Ross has picked up another. No, he hasn't picked up on Xerxes. So, yeah, these drivers, they're struggling.
Ooh. I'm riding on board with Tom, because Tom's debut race, but on his onboard, I just got to say, reminds me of the Family Guy weather report. It's raining sideways! But Tom, yes, 4 seconds in front of Droftas, and we do suspect that Pease is suffering some kind of damage because he's now 7 seconds down from Droftas. But Tom, again, cleared of in the clear with some free air, should I say? Definitely showing more pace.
Someone who I don't know if he'd have damage or what, but you see that gap. That gap's 5 seconds now with Troy. Glock just about a second off the back of Wouter now as well.
We've got P. P's called a yellow flag there, dropping 7 seconds. He's definitely suffering.
I just can't quite believe what I'm seeing here this evening. There's a bit of rain and everything's kind of been flipped on its head.
Well, yeah, we've seen that Wouter with a massive gap in the front of the Drivers' Championship right now, wanting Pease to come and try and make a dent into that deficit between the two. But instead, we've got a reserve car driver up there now at 5.5 seconds in front of Wouter, really doing the damage to him instead. But Pease damaging himself, unfortunately, on these hard walls.
Just keep an eye on energetics as well. Further back, we are having a couple battles starting to brew here with Callum. P11, he's closing in. As I say that, never mind, he's gone into the runoff and he's done a quick 180 and he will return behind Bannister.
Good
to
call.
talk about commentators' curse, there you go.
Yeah, good call. Went on board with him and just seen you just curse him left, right and centre.
Well, I thought I would do it instead of you for once, Bloom. It's all good. It's kind of steadied itself out though for a bit again. That gap between DJ and Harron has been the same as it has been probably for the last 10 laps.
Yeah. I've got to say, you asked for rain, and I asked for no safety cars.
I was going to say, together, look what it's given us.
Yeah.
It is the track we're at as well. You've got to think Singapore isn't one of the big overtaking tracks on the calendar. It's just Monaco stretched out a little bit more. It's not easy to pass. So to pass the car in front, you do need that pace advantage, not just a couple of tenths, but it definitely needs a difference to be able to make a move.
Yeah. Well, it's just trying to prove your racecraft, your longevity, with being able to do the same religious corners for 31 laps as fast as you possibly can. And definitely Troy and Tom now bringing that gap down between him and Glock.
Yeah, down to 3.3, and Glock again he's kind of stabilised at about a second off the back of Wuta.
Yeah, but so Glock's gap to Wuta has stayed the same, but Tom's gap to Glock is closing. So that also means that Tom is closing on Wuta. These new drivers, Tom, his debut for Formula 4, Troy jumping in as a reserve, as he has done a couple of times before, showing us that the ultimate pace that we've seen in this league thus far for 5 seasons can still be beaten.
I never thought I'd see the day. I still can't get over what we're kind of seeing here. And if this is just a wet race and we've still got a reverse grid coming up on the calendar, is this going to be the kind of racing we're going to see?
Well, it's just the racing standard has improved so much. Like we see last year's title protagonist now down to pot 2, fighting his way in the battles there. Myself as a pot 4 dropped. I'm that slow now. I can't get out of the admin room. I'm trapped behind the commentator's door. I'm that slow.
Right. I'm that slow. They took my keys away from me. I was just having a look at the chat there. Jess. I'm surprised it's been a sensible race. Lol, I see a pattern here. Chris isn't racing.
Ooh, shots fired.
Ooh.
We talked about a stabbing earlier, and I think we've just seen someone get stabbed in the back. The godmother and the godfather themselves.
Oh, I wonder if he watches the stream back.
Well, I'm going to have to throw in a driver of the day vote for myself, and I'm just going to have to put it out there as Tom.
I agree with that. Yeah, 100%.
To be fair,
he's putting a stellar drive.
For his debut, he's came here, he's shown us ultimate racecraft, because there's one thing that's being fast. There's one thing being patient, having racecraft. But to have both, and we could see when Harin was in front of him, when he was on fresh rubber, he was able to just maintain his composure and know that it's a wet race, it's got pace. Whether he was wondering if he was going to be getting out in front of Pease or not, albeit that he did in the end, he's been able to just hold himself back, but then at the same time have this outright pace.
I mean, on top of that as well, he's down to under 2.5 seconds. So since we last touched on it, that's another 7 to 8 tenths he's taken out of Glock.
And I'm just going to say 8 seconds.
Yeah, I didn't know if you meant to Troy's gap or Droftas then. But Troy, again, he's just shown something else here tonight. I mean, there's another 3 or 4 tenths drop there as well between the likes of Tom and Glock. The gap under 2 seconds now. So is Tom going to get Glock before Glock even gets a sniff at Wuta?
Well, I was going to say that let's look at the fact that we're only on lap 26. Oh, but we do have
car moving out the way for the leaders coming through.
Ah, okay. We do have some misplaced excitement.
I was riding on board with Glock and I just saw the Sega to left. But you look at that shot now with Glock in the background. There's Tom. 1.5 seconds. 1.4 seconds. This man is flying.
Well,
he can now see the guys he's trying to chase.
as I was trying to say, we're on lap 26. We could see Tom not only looking to bring a fight to Glock, but also Wouter is only 2.5 seconds in front of Tom.
I can't quite get over this. That's insane.
I know. If only Chris was here to cause a safety car, and we'd see it really bunch right up. It is a good point to note, though, because the last 2 weeks we have had like 4 safety cars in each race. Jess's words, not mine.
So just to kind of look, I was just been looking at some of these drivers' times, and the fastest lap for Troy at the moment is, I think it's a 57.2. Wouter himself sitting on a 58.1.
Wow.
Glock again sitting in the 58. I think down at 58.1 as well for Glock. And Tom, this is the man I was really interested in. He has got a 50. He's got a handful of 57.6s back to back. 58.1. Yeah, his time's dropping quick. So 58.5. Tom's got pace, and I think we're definitely going to see it happen now. But he did struggle to get past Pease earlier. Is he going to have the confidence to make these moves as soon as possible? This is for a podium on his debut race.
Yeah, that it's one thing when you're mid-race, deep in it, first drive for a new league, just trying to make sure that you keep your calm. But like you say, 4 or 5 laps from the end, for the potential of a podium, I think there'll be a different attitude underneath that helmet.
Well, he's shown the composure when he was in traffic to, and wow, that's a word I never thought I'd use for Pease at one point, but yeah, he's shown being behind a car and not touch anyone. No offense, Pease, and he's now at the clear air, and he showed the pace and the aggression to trust the car and lean on it, and it's set 0.6 to Glock. The drive this man has put on this evening's been insane. Gap at the front, Troy, another man who's put on a stellar drive. 9.5 seconds to Wouter now.
This is just, I can't believe he was stuck behind that slow car. They're just holding him up. What kind of gap would we see if he wasn't held behind Wouter?
I feel so bad now. That was a slip of the tongue, to be fair, with Pease, but you just did that intentionally, Wouter.
Well, I'm just saying it for the fact of it's a rare occurrence here. It's something that you don't expect to see, but it's something that I think us race fans wanted. We don't want to see an outright winner, and Tom trying to keep hold of the traction there as he's really gunning now. Few laps left, wanting that podium position. As you say, his debut race. He's already given us a massive impression, and again, the traction just being held by the skin of its teeth.
I mean, a big factor here is going to be, you've got to look at the battery deployment as well. He's not got too much more than Glock, but if he does dispatch Glock, and he looks like he's got the pace to do so, Wouter is just not deploying anything. He's sat there with a full battery, so I think Wouter's just kind of biding his time and possibly waiting for a defence if needed.
Yeah, he will need to defend. I do believe that strongly, because Tom is now going to be looking to make his way past Glock. Oh, energetics.
All to go.
Dropping time to Bannister further down the board as well. So let's go back.
There's a bit of... So just have a look at a bit of traffic. Troy has already cleared lapped car. I believe that would be the chiropractor, yes. So I can imagine these guys are going to catch him relatively soon. Is that going to, cause a bit of an upset here for these guys?
Yeah, they will be catching the chiropractor soon.
Oh, got yellow out. There's Bannister round at the hairpin.
Yeah, good to see. Back facing the right way, back on track. But I was on board with Tom for a short moment there. I really cannot get my words out tonight. I think I may need to drink more so that I can get my words out clearly.
I thought you called him Tron.
Tron. That's going to be his new nickname, I think. Tron. Tom the Tailor. He is struggling with the traction. Whether it's excitement or tyre wear, I don't know. We did see him in early on that tyre call, so maybe he is suffering a little bit of degradation.
It looks like he saved a bit of extra battery up as well. We saw him do this with Peas, and he's not deployed too much this lap. So if he's going to go for an attack, he's definitely getting himself ready for it. Kept 12 seconds now at the front for Troy. 12 seconds.
It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Somebody give that man a full-time seat. Because this is what we want to see. We want to see new guys at the front. And, you know, I'm all for... I don't want to demote people, but it's what we want to see. We want to see some racing. We want to see a mix-up of people on the podium, because that's racing.
I mean, you say you want to see some racing, and you don't want to demote people, but as far as a race goes, this has just been a slam dunk for Troy since he cleared Wouter via the pit strategy, because Wouter showed that he could defend. Troy has just been in another league.
Yeah, unbelievable. But Tom,
all the other battles have really spaced out. Sorry, I was just about to say, but Tom's the one keeping us here going.
Yeah, but he is struggling. He is struggling with traction. And again, I don't know if that's excitement or what, but Harin doing a late pit stop there, probably looking for fastest lap.
The gap he's called is quite close though, so it'll be interesting to see if he does lose out to Mikey G. I can imagine if he does though, it's not going to be hard for him to get back in front.
Well, like you said, it's Singapore. It's a hard track to overtake if you don't do it.
And he's
correctly.
lost out to Mikey G, so Mikey G does take P8 with 3 to go for those guys.
Can see Energetics and Callum quite close on track.
Oh, sorry, Tom. Like they were all passing. I think that was Ramsell, and Tom got very close to him as he went by. Could have given him a high five on the way through. Jeez.
I think Energetics was just trying to high five the back of Callum's car.
Oh, and Tom clips the wall. No damage though, but again, that was side rubber to the wall on the right side of the final corner.
I think he's either suffering some tired egg or excitement.
Who's that that's just gone deep? That's Peas again. Same place as last time.
Yeah, he's definitely suffering there with some form of damage. Like you say, it might not be the wing, it might be some side pod damage, which will give you all sorts of problems running a 31-lap race.
Especially around this track as well, where it can be so unforgiving if the car doesn't feel right.
So I'm going to stay on board with Energetics just a little while longer before we go back to that main battle at the front.
I'm keeping a close eye on Tom and Glock and Wouter, don't you worry. I'll scream like a schoolgirl if anything happens.
Energetics struggling with traction on the back end, which I think has cost him an opportunity for an overtake down that straight.
Tell you what, someone who's suffering at the moment by the looks of it is Wouter. Wouter went very deep there, and that has allowed Glock to close right up onto the back of him.
Who's that? I see Xerxes unfortunately missing a front wing. Let's not hang on him there. 14 seconds, Croy in front of Wouter, but Glock incredibly close to Wouter now, as well as Tom behind.
It's just before the hairpin, Wouter at the chicane went a little bit deep, and he just managed to keep it out of the wall. But in doing so, it's really allowed these two guys to jump straight onto the back of that rear wing. But again, Wouter's still sat there with a full battery, so I think if he needs it, he's got that there in defence. And Tom just out to make a last-minute correction there as he nearly clips the wall. He clipped the wall here last. He clipped the wall here last time as he comes into the second-to-last corner, and he cuts that close, doesn't he?
Oh,
he's hit the curb! No, he's spun. He's cool. That was. I mean.
Gee.
Terrible to see, but that was an insane 360 and catch.
Max Verstappen, eat your heart. That was incredible.
I mean, that was just the pure skill. I bet that would look great if you weren't on the onboard. Unfortunately, I was. But I was hoping that was gonna. Oh, I meant like from the spectator cam, not riding on board on the T cam. But Glock, though, just like that, though, Wooter's just broken out 5/10 on Glock. I thought Glock was going to now have the confidence to maybe have a look, but Wooter runs deep again at the end of the straight, so I think Wooter's starting to struggle. Well, I say starting to, it looks like he is struggling in these conditions.
Well, I definitely think Tom is suffering tired egg there because we've seen him do an early pit. We are on the final lap. We'll have to go to Troy soon because he is a sector in front of everybody almost.
I mean, if his tyres weren't worn before, that spin for the fans definitely wouldn't have helped.
Yes. Hello, Dark 422. Damn, full wets. Yes, it's been like this. The whole race, all 31 laps have been wet. Glock not able to make the move on that occasion, but he closes the gap right up. But we're coming to the final stages of this race.
Yeah, and Troy's just rounding the final couple corners now. He's got a bit of traffic in front of him, but I can't imagine they are going to move out of the way because, to be fair, they're not impeding the race leader. He's got a 16-second gap. Started P2 at a dodgy opening formation lap, and he's down across the line and just dominated the second half of this race with the win for Troy.
Yeah, I almost want to jump to that battle, to be fair. Callum and Energetics, they were side by side as Troy crossed the line. But we
bringing it home in P2, Wooter does defend off Glock for second and third, and then Tom, who I'm going to call it was our driver of the day, he gives us another spin across the line. He's got a puncher. He's got a puncher, a right rear puncher.
Wow. So that will not have helped.
And the YouTube cars, they're going, I was just about to say the YouTube cars were Droftas, that was Droftas and I believe Ramsdale going side by side, but Droftas had a very sudden stop.
Yes. And we see positions moving. Harin on Mikey G. Mikey G trying to claim it back. Battling all to the final breath here, these two cars. Ooh. And yes, struggling to stop, but he did manage to stop. But grace and respect shown from Harin because I think you could see the move could have been on there.
Oh, and DJ gives Droftas's car a nice clatter across the line as well. I was just intrigued to know if anyone else was going to hit it. But Harin has, yeah, as you say, covered off Mikey G. But Harin picks up a 3-second penalty.
That will be a massive difference at the ending of this race because Mikey G does jump Harin.
Oh, and we got a puncher for Ross. Ross in P10, he's got a puncher. What? How many penalties has he got? Because Callum's closing fast.
Yeah.
It's not going to matter with the penalties. He's going to lose out with 2 corners to go. He's got Callum and Energetics, who are both going to make a position. And it looks like Energetics is going to get into the line. Wait, what happened to Energetics?
He spun. Has he got a puncher as well?
I thought Energetics was going to have it.
Oh no, he hasn't got it.
The back of... It looked like he just did the undercut. Like the switchback, and he just disappeared.
Yeah, and Xerxes in the comments, why is it such a disadvantage running no assist? Surely it would encourage more people to turn them off if it made you faster. And yet we can see that you were struggling there, and a good effort to finish the race as well. Damn, Minnie, you can call me that. What? I'm Minnie. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. I keep forgetting that Dark is Minnie.
We went over this last week. Come on.
We did. And Droftas, that was hard. Yes, it didn't look much fun. We did only see a few little battles, but yes, what battles we saw was absolutely epic.
I mean, rather you guys than me personally in that race, because I would not have enjoyed that. So fair play to all of our finishers.
Yeah, and like you say, the time difference 1:57.2, and then Wooter only managing a 1:58.1. So Troy really unleashed once he got past Wooter. So Troy first place, Wooter second, Glock third, Tom fourth, and driver of the day. Droftas 5th, P 6th, DJ 7th, Mikey G 8th, Harin 9th, Callum 10th, Energetics 11th, Ross 12th, Bannister 13th, Chewy in 14th, Sorry, Ramsel in 14th, Chewy in 15th, Xerxes 16th, 15th, and oh god, I can't even get my words out. Xerxes 16th, Sloth 17th. And even my wife's laughing at me, just for good measure.
Well, hopefully she knows she's not alone because we are too. But regarding that, that would have definitely mixed up the championship standings. So I'll be looking forward to seeing those when the final points are counted. But just what a race. And to see that, the fastest lap by Troy, and then we had Tom, who was only 4/10 off with his own attempt, and that was still 5/10 quicker than Wouter.
Yeah, but we will now go to the driver interview room. Bear with us a couple of minutes whilst we get the drivers in and we talk to the top 3 finishers and our driver of the day, hopefully. So join us in there in a moment. what a race that was in the end. We did have a little bit of a stale moment in the in the middle. Oh God, I cannot get the words out tonight. But yes, excitement at the start, excitement at the end, and Troy topping the table for this race in the reserve car. And yeah, what a phenomenal show we have had today. Glock not joining us in the driver interview room, but a fantastic race from him. Good to see he's getting his luck back, because he's never lost his pace. But the first few races he's had with us here in Formula 4, he's suffered some immense bad luck. But yes, good to see him up on the top tables again. But joining us in second place is Wouter. And Wouter, I've got to ask, was that a wet setup, a dry setup? How was the car set up for you for this race?
I took my normal dry setup. I think that was Singapore's high enough wings anyway, so I don't think you lose out that much.
We've seen you lead in the race for most of it. You did get pole position and managed to carry that most of the way, but you did have Troy for company for most of the first half. But then when it comes to pit strategy, did you pit when you planned to, or did you try and change it up depending how the race evolved?
I pit a lot later than I thought I was gonna. But I heard some inters on the radio, so I was like, yeah, you know what, I'll stay out for a few more. Hope Troy doesn't pit, and then and I just pit when I still had a chance to undercut to stay out ahead. But no, it didn't work out.
Diggle, anything to add?
Well, to be fair, you say about the pit strategy. I just wanted to know, like, were you aware that when Troy had come in, he was actually caught behind the mobile chicane that he couldn't quite navigate, and at one point it looked like it had undone the hard work he'd done. Was that meaning you wanted to come straight in after that? Was that kind of, as soon as you saw Troy was in, you were immediately going to cover him off?
Wait, do you mean, was it Glock or?
No, it was Troy. I can't remember the driver he was stuck behind now, but he was passing someone who hadn't pit, and he was trying to anyway. And I didn't know if that had maybe given you a bit of a decision on, right, I'm calling it now to come in and, like you say, cover him off, or had you already decided at that point you were going to be in that lap?
Oh no, I was going to be in anyway. I didn't really. I think I missed that myself. I was going to come in anyway.
Well, no, by all means, it was a great drive, and it definitely wouldn't have been easy with the likes of Glock and even Tom for the last chunk of that race, to be fair. We're really trying to get close to you, but it seemed like you had them covered off. Were you saving your battery just in case for the defence? Because we saw you were running on a full battery for about 10 laps.
No, you gain a lot of EMS in the rain. I knew I didn't have to use. I think I can hold people back, but I think even if they got past, I think I wouldn't have changed anything. I don't know how it was for Troy, but when I went on the brakes, it's just like you can't go full brakes in the full wet, and if you go a bit too high, you start locking up straight away. So that was I don't think I could have done anything else, but it worked out to get P2.
I mean, congratulations on the P2. Peas didn't have a great race this evening, so you've extended your lead out at the front of the drivers' standings. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And now we go to our first place winner. And I think I'm just checking my facts here. I think every time Troy has raced reserve for us, he has been on the podium. So Troy, and to be on the top step again, you was on the top step in Australia, but the top step again here in Singapore. How was that race for you?
Yeah, man, it was exhausting, to be honest. 31 laps around Singapore, the full wet. It's tough, man, and yeah, fair play to everyone who actually finished on the grid today, because that was that took time and effort for sure.
Yeah, we've seen you. I said it a couple of times on the stream, almost being held up by Wouter, which is something I never thought I would say to anybody. But how was that first half of the race being behind Wouter?
Yeah, I knew I just had to keep my cool, because I did try to. on a few occasions, maybe like 1-2 occasions, I did try to make a move for it, but I just couldn't, man. He placed the car like he didn't put his foot wrong, to be honest, all until the pit stops and everything. So I just couldn't get past, and then I came to the conclusion that if there is any possible way to overtake him, it has to be during like the pit stop phase. So that's what I had to do, basically.
Anything to add, Diggle?
I mean, the only thing I wanted to touch on, and I'm surprised you didn't bring it up, Bloom, was that formation lap start. I don't know what quite happened there, Troy, but I mean, it's very fortunate that obviously there wasn't any damage on the formation lap. I don't know if that was you just finding your footing, but the actual race start and from there on out, you seem to just have complete control of your car. The only thing I have to really say is just praise on the drive to break away as you did and have the confidence and lean on the car like you have done all evening. You've just brilliant drive from start to finish, so congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. I think, I don't know, I think it might have been assists as well, making it a bit easier for me, I guess. But I mean, I'll take it, to be fair. I really like this track, and especially in the wet. And then my setup just worked wonders. My dry setup is very good in the wet around here as well. So it just clicked perfectly, to be honest.
Congratulations on a fantastic win for yourself. Hoping for a full-time seat soon?
I don't know. That's the thing. I can't really make all the Mondays. That's why I haven't asked for one yet. But yeah, whenever I'll be able to, hopefully I could get one.
You're definitely welcome here to race as and when you can, because as we say, your reserve seat, I think every time you've drove with us, you have scored a podium this season. So congratulations on that.
Thanks, man. Have a great evening, everyone.
All right, thank you very much, Troy. Just a quick touch on the comments. Minnie saying that he's going to remind me next week that he's, I can call him Minnie when it comes up dark 422. Callum, can we go to bed now? And the godmother herself saying, love Glock, but never heard him speak. Well done, guys. Amazing race and amazing comments. Thank you very much for your comments all in there. But join us next week for round 9, where we will be round Brazil. Will we see anybody using their double points card for Brazil? But the week after, we will be seeing the wildcard reverse grid played. So we'll see the top of the leaderboard starting at the back of the grid, and what excitement around Canada we will be seeing for that. But next week, Brazil, and join us then. Love you, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.